The title today is, What's Love Got to Do with It? I remember watching some the very first presidential candidate debates, and one of them was talking about the power of love and moving to a politics of love. And I saw some comments, like one person said, I fell out of my chair laughing when I heard that. Because people don't think of love as powerful. People don't typically think of love as something that can shift our world. Many people think that it has to be by force, by power. And so some people ask, what does love have to do with it? For some people, love is an emotion, a very fleeting emotion. Like one person said, yeah, I believe in love. I fall in love with someone new every day. Maybe some of you have heard of someone who has described themselves as a serial monogamist. That is, that they keep falling in love with a new person and they love that feeling of newness. The birds sound better, the leaves are greener, the sky is bluer, the earth smells better, life is just great. And they love that feeling of that biochemical reaction that is going on in the body. That is some aspect of love. But not its highest expression, not its deepest expression. How many of you watched the Super Bowl last Sunday? How many of you watched the commercials? Okay, I love the commercials, And last week in my message, I had talked some about 4 loves that C.S. Lewis had written. And so I'm watching the commercials because I don't want to miss anything. And up comes this insurance commercial that goes into an explanation of the 4 Greek words for love, ending with agape. And I thought, what? Just setting that power of intention, I got a Super Bowl commercial, So agape is the Greek word for that highest form of love, unconditional love that really is divine love. Now, many times when I give a message, I try to come to a conclusion. I try to lead us to a particular conclusion that we can experience within or experience in our consciousness. And I'm going to do this a bit different. I'm going to give you the conclusion now. Okay? Okay, here's the conclusion. You are love. Not just have love or feel love. Your essence is love. I remember from ages 13 to 15, I went through the dark night of the soul. Some people question whether a 13 and 14-year-old can experience the dark night of the soul. I did. Life had lost meaning. It was absolutely absurd. I could not understand why I was here. Why did I come here? I think someone made the wrong delivery. I got delivered to the wrong place. What am I doing here? Everything looked completely absurd. Nothing had meaning. Nothing made any sense to me. And each day, I was hanging on by just a thread. Each day, I wondered if I would survive that day. And I did that every day for 2 years. Now, the dark night of the soul is too good of an opportunity to waste. One of the conclusions I came to while I was going through that time was that I made a decision to hang around. I made a decision to stay on this planet. Because if I decided otherwise, I might miss the opportunity to see how it could have turned out. It was a philosophical construct that I came up with. Like, yeah, I'm in hell, so it can't get any worse. So why not stick it out and see if there are other options? So that's how I lived. And then at age 15, in the mountains of Colorado, I went away by myself, standing on the porch, looking at the moon rising up. I was thinking of this as I saw the full moon this morning and last night. And I was watching the moon rise up over the pine trees and the aspen trees in Colorado. And I was immersed in total love. This presence of love, the presence of what we sometimes call the divine, or source, or spirit, or God, or whatever name you give to it, that presence of love was so permeating and so everywhere present. I saw that that's all there is. It's pure love. There was no guilt. There was no sin in it. There was no feeling bad about oneself, because it was pure creativity, pure intelligence, pure love. And I realized I am that. That was a revelation. No one had taught me that. It was a revelation to realize I am that, and not only am I that, everyone else is that. And then I began to see us as these spiritual beings of light, spiritual beings of pure love, the divine presence wearing masks and trying to pretend to be something else. And it making us neurotic and sick and feeling separate instead of knowing what we really are. I don't know if you ever do this. I do this occasionally. Not every day, but occasionally. I will go to the mirror when no one else is around. I have the door shut. I will go to the mirror and I will get very close to the mirror without my glasses on, and I'll just stare at myself in the eyes. And I'll ask, who's back there? Who's looking through this? Who is seeing this? What am I? What are you? Do you ever ask yourself that? You are love. There is so much more to you than can be fathomed by the world's standards. So much more. I remember when I was a student in graduate school, getting my Master of Divinity degree at seminary. I had a '59 Chevy. There was a short period of time where I was homeless. I was living in my car on crackers, peanut butter, and Pepto-Bismol. In my car was dirty laundry and homework. And have you ever gone through graduate school? Have you ever done it living in a car? Some of you maybe. Coming to this community and experiencing some of our own community that is or has been homeless, including some of our youth department. And I ask myself, what is love? What is mine to do? How do I interact with this? Yes, I know everything first begins in consciousness, so we know in unity we first need to know that God is our source. But are you familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs? You know, on those 5 stages of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the top one is self-actualization. Well, Maslow's theory was that in order to get to that stage, these other needs need to be met. And the first of those stages is like food, shelter, safety, survival. And I asked myself, what is love? What does love have to do with it? How does love intersect with the needs in our world, in our congregation, in the wider world? How do we intersect with the needs that are there? And not to do it in a way that is a handout or looking down on, but where we really are with the other person or with the situation going on. How do we do that? Obviously, we need to come from a place of love. Because love is that divine, eternal essence. Real love never gets depleted. And I'm talking about that presence of God. How do we live that presence in our everyday lives? Is there someone this last week that you connected with on the level of love and really listened to them and really heard them and really saw where they were at in their life? Didn't try to fix it, but you really heard them and were with them and listened. Listening is one of the hardest skills there is. To be really present with someone, to set your own agenda aside, and as the song said, to take a seat and let love lead. We are the presence of love. There's enough love in this room and those who are love streaming to shift our world. Because it's so powerful, it can shift our entire country, our entire world, our love. Now, it can be really fun to just do some random acts of love and kindness. Do you sometimes do that? Yesterday, I was driving down Nave, and a woman wanted to pull out from Safeway. An older woman that looked like maybe she had difficulty turning her head. Lots of traffic. And so I stopped and let her in, and she waved so enthusiastically. It was a simple act. I recognized that I received much more in that moment than I gave. When we reach out in love, when we reach out from authenticity, when we reach out from what we really are, life changes. There are times in our lives where we are hurt. There are times in our life when we are disappointed. There are times in our life where we're concerned about what's happening in our world. What's love got to do with it? Everything. This is the power that changes our world. This is the power that connects us all. This is the power that led to someone being on a cross, looking down at those crucifying him and saying, "Forgive them. They don't know what they're doing." Who prayed for them. Love. Love is the key. And you are that. That's what you really are. I wish I could just take a magic wand for a moment and wave it, and everyone see themselves for what you really are. You're beautiful beyond comprehension. You are so loving, it can't even be understood. You are so divine that if you knew what you really were, you would realize that nothing is impossible for you. And you would know that you are here to touch other people at the point of their need. And even when one finds themselves in the point of need, as I did, and later in my life as a chaplain ended up in low-income housing, surrounded by the mentally ill and drug addicts. And I remember one of them knocking on my door, and I opened the door, and they had slit both their wrists. And they said, "Would you take me to the hospital?" I said, "Sure, let's go." I recognized that even in those difficult times, that there was love. That when I could give love, I was never poor. When I could give love, I was never a victim. When I could give love, I was never powerless. Another neighbor across the way had schizophrenia. And he came over to my door early one morning. And he said, "Chaplain Tim, I think that I've sold my soul to the Antichrist." I said, "Come on in, let's talk. Let's talk." He said, "I don't think there's any hope for me. I believe I'm going to hell. I believe I've sold my soul to the Antichrist." I said, "Are you worried about that?" He said, "Yeah, I'm real worried. I'm real concerned." And I said, "Well, if you had really sold your soul to the Antichrist, do you think you'd be worried about it?" And he said, "That's a good point." So he's like, "So you're saying that because I'm concerned about it, that says that I haven't done that?" And I said, "That's right. And Tony, you are such a good person. You're one of the most loving people I've ever met. There's no way, Tony. When I see you, I see someone who is living a life of love and living a life of God." He was so blessed. He was just leaping with joy. And I would sometimes hear him early in the morning. He was Pentecostal. I'd hear him early in the morning with his front door open, just praying in tongues and loud. Wherever you go, wherever you are, there is love. And there is an opportunity for you to give, because in truth, you are that presence of God. In truth, that source is living itself as you. In truth, that power, that resource, that abundance, that health, that divinity is always expressing as you. Allow it. Open yourself to it. Let it come. Let yourself be the love that the world needs. That's why we're here. That's what we're here to do, to shine our light. Not to hide in the darkness, not to be scared, not to be cursing the darkness, but to be the light of the world. That's what we are here to do. That's what love has to do with it. Thank you. Let's cement that in with some affirmations. If you would repeat after me, I am love.
I am love.
I bring love to the world.
I bring love to the world.
I never run out of love.
I never run out of love.
I am the presence of God in action.
I am the presence of God in action.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Amen.